Red River Podcast. uh, Today we're gonna talk some horror. I mean, it's been a long time, right, since we had like a full like horror conversation. I feel like it's been a long time, and
It has.
today we got two people, one that I know, one that I don't know. Waiting for Rob G to pop on. But we have Mike from Icons of Fright in the house.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so you know, Icons of Fright is like I'm from Long Island, and I was like adjacent to like Rob G when all this stuff was coming about, but I was like more into like music, and so me and Rob shared a drummer, Stevie D. Stevie D was our drummer for the
Right, right.
longest time. So anytime like Rob would do stuff, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. So in 2004, you guys start basically like this website or like this blog thing called Icons of Fright, and 20 years later, you guys wrote a book, or basically just compiled, right? The
Yeah, it's a
interviews.
compilation of the best of the first couple of years. And there's
Oh,
four new interviews that Rob conducted over the last couple of months. So most of it's a compilation of something from like 2004 to 2009, when it was me, Rob, and the other two gentlemen, Jay Alvino and Adam Barnick, primarily working on the site. A lot of people worked on the site. There are more people who were involved, but this compilation of interviews represents our four uh, interviews. Yeah.
yeah. So like looking back at this thing, like it's pretty amazing, like 20 years passed. But in the very beginning, what was it like what was like the idea? Like, how did it come about? Because we're all like horror fans, but you guys took it a step further and you kind of like, I don't know, just did something with it, like
Well, yeah, we just started out as horror fans. I met Rob through some mutual friends. Rob was this is still when Rob was at Tower Records and I was working at the mall, and we kind of would run into each other at the Long Island house parties, and we kind of got to know each other and bonded over our mutual love of horror films. Rob was known for doing like a horror section at Tower, which I had become already become familiar with. Rob's horror section at the Tower Records. And I just started hanging out with them. And what we would started doing was going to the conventions together, going to Chiller Theater, mostly going to Fangoria Weekend of Horrors, with a bunch of other friends. And when we would show up, we had a good time. I got this idea in my head. I was like, what's there something we could do to make these conventions more worth like our time? Could we like maybe start a website and have this website as an excuse to just like do quick interviews with these celebrities, and horror icons at these shows. And Rob had a background in web design, so that's where it started. We were just like, well, let's just give ourselves an excuse to get a little more FaceTime, a little more than just like an autograph and a picture with our favorite horror celebrities at the conventions.
yeah,
And so it just came out of that. The first and then we started talking about how would we really want to do the interviews, and it became, instead of just like start talking from like 15-20 minutes, maybe we should like talk to these people about their whole careers. That's something that we don't think a lot of people were doing at the time. There wasn't really an online presence for horror. There were some small review sites. There may be some news sites. Fangoria wasn't active online at the time. None of the major sites that are still active now were there. We thought, well, could we maybe do like long form interviews and talk about the craft of acting, the craft of directing, and make it kind of like, and it always sounds cheesy, but our inspiration being like the questions that were asked on Bravo's Inside the Actors Studio, where you talk to people about their lives. And so that was sort of the foundations of it. And then we just, we're two dopes from Long Island. We just thought, yeah, well, we're qualified to do that. So let's go right ahead. Let's start asking people for interview time. And they said yes.
yes,
So that's where it happened.
that is
Surprisingly.
that is like, I mean, that's the beauty of like DIY, right? Like you just kind of like
Yeah.
do, like you're like, hey, let's just do it, and you don't think anything of other than like, but I think what it is like if you're genuine and you're all about that life, which we all are basically, and have this like Oh man, I love to ask. Like we had when we had Brian Usna on, I was just like,
Oh,
God,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, please tell me. Like, I want to talk to you about Return of the Living Dead 3, which I probably no one wants to talk to him about. But I'm like, oh my God, please tell me more of this stuff, you know? So, like, funny enough, lifelong horror guy. It's in, obviously in the DNA. I've only been to two conventions. One recently.
wow.
I went to Chiller and I fucking loved it. Shout out to Dan Tur for being
Oh,
the
that's
host.
Chiller's a
Yeah, it
uh,
was fantastic. Shout out to him for like like showing me the ropes. And then there was another one that I went to in Hop Hog, which was kind of like a little bit like lesser
Oh.
known people and stuff.
right,
So,
right.
but like so going back to when you started going
Is
there,
that the
like
Toxic Avenger one?
it was a Toxic
Where you met
Avenger.
that?
Oh,
Okay.
wow. All right.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not. Hold on a second.
Well,
Yeah, I kind of got grifted a little bit. Like this guy, it was the funniest story. So like, one of the guys from the Toxic, like I was just walking through with my girlfriend, and he goes like this. I see a Toxic Avenger. I was like, oh shit. He's like, you like Toxic Avenger? I'm like, I love it. And, I'm like, I love one and four. He's like, I was the one and two, two and three. I was like, all right, whatever. And then he's like, yo, let's take a picture. And we took a picture. And I don't know shit, right?
Right.
it's
Yeah.
like me walking through Times Square and fucking like,
Yeah.
next thing you know, I owe somebody money. And he takes a
Oh,
picture. He takes a picture with my phone, and he's like, all right. And then he goes back to his table. He's like, this is what I'll do. He's like, this will be half off here. And I was like, bro, I'm like, I didn't.
oh, you didn't know. Yeah, you
Oh,
didn't know.
sorry.
I'm like, I don't, I didn't, I'm not being mean. I was like, I don't, okay, I'm not a collector. We were just walking
Right.
through, and he goes like this. He's like, well, usually when I'm cool enough to take a picture, somebody's cool enough to buy something. I'm just like,
Oh, Jesus.
Funny.
I was like, you know what? I was like, just for this story, I'm like here,
Yeah.
and I fucking bought like a flyer. But anyway,
We
so no, go ahead.
we've had many stories like that. I think a couple of times we brought friends who weren't familiar with the convention scene who ended up going up and getting a picture with a celebrity and then shocked that they had to pay for it. It's, you know,
Yeah.
that's a convention noob thing. But
It's
it
a
Yeah,
was a lot
different
different
world.
back then. That was this everyone hitting you up for money at conventions left and right. That's in the last like ten years. I mean, we saw the beginning of that and it really, it kind of turned us off at the beginning. I mean, look, these folks go out there, they're coming out to these shows. This is how they're making a living
yeah,
now, so
yeah.
it's
Sure.
totally cool. But way back then, we just like you'd go in, you get your autograph, and you get a picture with them. It'd be like $20. You still have to bring a lot of cash. People were still bringing plenty of money to spend. But it's like it's wild. It's outrageous now. What
That
what you see? Like there are
Yeah.
there are $400 photo opportunities now with these celebrities, and it's insane.
that's kind of like where I wanted to take the question was like, what was the vibe back then? Because like I don't even like it just didn't even occur to me, and it seemed like you said, $20 seems really
Right,
cool
right.
for any of these things. Like, but so like, do you remember your first one?
Yeah, my first one was the Fangoria Weekend of Horrors, 1996, the winter edition. They did two times, they did twice a year. The vibe back then, well, with Fangoria Weekend of Horrors, it was a very structured convention. You'd show up, you'd go to a ballroom in a hotel. They'd have a screen and a table. And for the first like hour of the Fangoria Weekend of Horrors, they were introducing trailers for movies that were coming up. They were usually introduced by Tony Timpone, Michael Gingold, and you'd watch these trailers and you'd sit there and then they would have panels throughout the day. And usually with Fangoria Weekend of Horror, it was panels focused on a couple of classic horror movies, but usually stuff that was going to be coming out in the next year. And they were promotional events. So they would do the panel and then the guests would go over to the side and they'd have swag for you to get signed. You could bring your own stuff. Usually at a certain level, like you paid a certain level, all that was included. Gradually, it started to shift to, like a paper thing. And then there were the vendor rooms where you would find people who weren't promoting something or who were there because that's their job now is to go to conventions. That was Fangoria. Chiller has always been kind of like a potpourri of everybody, which I'm sure you just saw. You saw horror people
I
there.
did, yeah,
There's
yeah.
Yeah.
there's like sitcom stars. And that one was always more like, bring the big bucks for Chiller because you'll be shelling out left and right. Everybody's charging for
I
pictures, everybody's
I
charging for autographs. There's panels,
Right.
but no one's
I
getting anything for
caved.
free there.
I caved on
Yeah,
two. Because like I
yeah,
said, I don't have that. I'm a looker. I'm an
Yeah,
admirer.
yeah.
I'm a lifelong supporter of all you guys, but like I don't collect things, so therefore I don't like feel like I need like But like I Zuzu pedals from Ford Fairlane. I'm like, yo,
Okay.
when the
Well,
fuck is the
Hmm.
next time I'm gonna see that? And then Stuttering John from the Stir
sure, why
Show.
not? Yeah.
I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? I grew up with this, and then Michael Gornick gave me like a Creep Show 2 thing, and he was just so fucking cool that I was like, I don't care what this like. I'm buying whatever you have.
I spring for any crushes I had, like Judy Ronson, uh, Joyce Heiser. Was that her name from
Yeah,
just
yeah,
one of the
from just
guys? I'm
one of the
like,
guys.
I
Yeah.
got, I
Oh,
got to meet,
nice. Yeah.
and I got to pay for
Yeah.
the autograph. And they were very
Of
sweet and stuff.
course.
But
Yeah.
I do I always like the Monster Mania. Was it Monster Mania? I believe the one down in Cherry
Monster Mania
Hill.
is a great show. That was a lot of fun especially back in the day.
As film junkies, like to get the panel, I'm all about
Yeah.
the panel. Just sitting in a
Yeah.
chair, hearing stories about the film, getting a little Q&A. I love that feature, because I'm not like crazy getting autographs.
Yeah, that was my favorite part was going to the panels, getting hearing the stories. And that's where kind of Icons of Fright came out of. We wanted to hear more, we wanted to hear more stories. And
Mm,
we wanted to take our time and hopefully get new stories out of them because you hear a lot of the same questions at the panels. I mean, you always hear about Betsy Palmer going to from Friday the 13th, going to the convention panels, and every time she'd go, she'd have to tell the same story about, I got this car, I needed this car. They paid me $9,999 and I bought this Volkswagen Scirocco. And we're like, there's gotta be more to
mm,
talk to her about than that. She was an actress for 50 years. So let's
right.
let's talk to her more about let's talk about her studio days. Let's talk to her about Friday the 13th and what happened after. What was the reaction to it? Because she went through some stuff after that especially with the film critics who didn't appreciate her being in there. So
They're
I
probably
think Rob
thrilled to
G's trying to
talk
get
about
in on
that
here.
stuff.
You might want to check on if you check on the Zoom. I think I've heard Rob is trying to get in on
Hello,
this thing. He's shown up.
can you
There he
hear
There he
is.
me?
is.
Oh yeah, he's there.
Can you- Hey
All right.
guys, so
David.
you can keep this in. I'm not embarrassed whatsoever. So I totally saved this in my phone as an hour later than it started. So I didn't realize the Zoom was
Oh,
happening right now. I was
oh,
actually visiting. I was visiting our friend Bill Schaefer at Hyena Gallery, who it ties in. He used to write a column for us in the early days of Icons of Fright. So that's why I'm late. I'm sorry.
uh-huh.
I
Oh,
hope
Rob's on
sweat it.
fancy West Coast time. So
Ooh.
Yeah, he's in the past still. We're in the
yeah, he's
we're in the
Hollywood
future.
Rob. So
We're in the
yeah.
future. But anyway, welcome, Rob. Good to see you.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, guys. I heard you talking about the conventions.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Like because I was just telling Mike that I it's funny whenever people bring up conventions, it's just not a part of something that was ever something that I did until recently. Like I did the Chiller, and then I'm gonna go back October 26th because I enjoyed going there so much that I was like, you know what, we should do this more. So yeah, it's interesting when people bring up these conventions, how like it wasn't a part of my repertoire.
Well, Sam, let me ask you at this most recent one, what were the vendors like? Did you find like cool stuff that you probably wouldn't have found anywhere else in the vendors room? Or
I
did you
think
go to meet people?
No, I I just went to like, like I just went to like I don't know, just watch it. So to me it was to like meet a couple of people. But like I went like I was telling him I went with Dan Tur who does Inked Up merch, so he's kind of like he knows the whole layout and all this other shit. So like I went to go watch people, maybe take a picture or two. And then the vendors had so much cool stuff, man. Um we got like magnets and like just basically anything that random shit that you could find. So yeah, I think that there was a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's the big difference now, I guess, is that I mean I guess you would figure out where you want to focus your funds on, right? Because
Yes, yeah,
it
yeah,
costs a lot of money to meet people and to get photos or
Yeah.
whatever. And I totally side with you. Like, if there's like, yeah, Zuzu Pedals, I like, kind of was like jealous. I'm like, yeah, I'd probably pay to meet her.
yeah.
I
What
mean, there was one convention that I went to with Mike, and he's a huge fan of George Kennedy, and George
Oh,
Kennedy was spreading for a little bit more money than we're used to. And I'm like, I will
yeah,
pay for it for you to meet George Kennedy because I don't know
that
when
was
else
so
we're going to
nice
see
of you.
that.
And he was charging something like wasn't it like 75 for an autograph? And at that time that was a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. But of course, Rob gifted me this wonderful experience with George Kennedy, and I got to take a picture with him. And then I think he did a few more conventions and then left this earth. So that
Yeah.
was, you know, you get these
Wow.
opportunities, you got to take them.
that's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why you go for that.
Yeah.
I
If you,
remember seeing Ernest Borgnine. Which was
Oh
it?
yeah.
Oh,
Ernest
he did
Borgnine
tons
and
of them. Yeah.
yeah, and Barney Miller, I think, was like right in the same room as him. And Ernest was charging a lot, but I mean, sometimes like the line is like you're going to spend like almost the whole day like online for some of
Yeah.
these big
but
name ones.
it just, like I said, just being like not used to that universe and walking into a room with like fucking like, James Remar and Frank Whaley, I'm just like, what? Like my mind is like melting
Yeah.
right now. I'm like, what is going on? How is this even possible? So,
Right.
Well, Sam,
Yeah.
to put it into more perspective, when we started Icons of Fright back in 2004, the other one of the other like vendors that was just starting out that's huge now was Fright Rags. So
That's
that
it.
they were
Yeah.
just starting the horror T-shirts. So believe it or not, getting a horror T-shirt wasn't as simple as walking into a Hot Topic back then. I, I
Mm.
think I think Fright Rags might have been the first to have a shirt of Tom Atkins that said "Thrill Me," and to me and Mike back then, we were like losing our minds. We're like, oh my God, somebody knows Night of the Creeps and who Tom Atkins is and put him on a
He
shirt.
And he
And
sold
now,
so many
like,
of them. Like you'd go to one convention, he sold those at one convention, and the next convention, everybody was wearing them. You just saw
yeah,
his Tom Atkins mustache thrill me shirt everywhere. And now Fright Rags is huge. They're
Huge.
like they're fully licensed, and it's a big legit business for Ben.
yeah,
It's
it's fun.
amazing.
It's funny to think of, but like you're right. Like I didn't. To me, I remember going to Yellow Rat Bastard in Manhattan, and Serial Killer was the T-shirts that we would
Right,
get that
right.
had the movie snaps on it, and it was just like okay, like I had like the Reservoir Dogs one and stuff like that, but it was yeah, it wasn't like a thing, you know. So it's funny that you mentioned that, but like now it's like my girlfriend will come home. Yo, shout out to my girlfriend. Shout out to Karen. Like we were watching In Search of Darkness when it first came out, the documentary, and I was like looking at this T-shirt. I was like, oh wow, produced by Deborah Hill. I was like, I love that shirt. And then she didn't say anything. She just got it for me one day, and I was
oh,
like,
awesome.
yeah, I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. But I mean, like little simple things like that, eh, making T-shirts is just like so fucking fantastic. I wanted to make one with Randall Peltzer's like business card on the front, which I don't think anyone's ever made, so I want to make that. But all right, let's talk Icons of Fright. Rob, as long as I've known you, like I've known that you did this, but it was always like adjacent, right? Like I would always know that you did that just through our friend Stevie D, and so like in the very beginning, like how did you? How did you guys like collectively get together and think like okay like we're basically going to just go out and do this? Was there ever a time in the very beginning, which was 2004, where that excitement wore off, or was it always like pedal to the metal on this thing? Because I mean it had to be like a new thing where you're like, you know what, there's a couple of us, and we're gonna go out and do these interviews, and they're so much fun.
Oh, I mean, I loved it from the get go, and it's funny because you and I have a lot of interesting parallels. The
Yeah.
thing was, I was diehard into music, pretty much in my early teens into my early 20s, and was in bands. And obviously, you and I shared a drummer together, which is how we know each other. But I always loved my great love was always movies, in particular, horror genre movies and music. And so when I was doing the band stuff in I don't know, the mid 90s, I was all about music and not even paying attention to what was going on in the movie world at all. But then by like the late 90s, I started to get really fed up with kind of the ever evolving pay to play scene in Long Island. And I just started to get really sick of music. And I was like, I want to go back to something that's not tainted by this, that's just pure. And that was my love of the genre. And I didn't know a lot of people that were into horror the way that I was. I definitely kind of tortured my little cousin by making him watch everything. And now, he's a big fan. He's a tattoo artist now, and he thanks me for it. But I probably was. It was probably a terrible thing for me to do to a little kid, is force him to
How
watch
young
his
was
movie.
he? How young was he when you
He's
exposed him?
oh shit, I got it. He's probably like 5 years younger than me. So, like, if I'm 12, that means that he's not even, he's like 8 or whatever. So,
Check this
so it's
Pieces movie out.
yeah, yeah. Sleepaway
He's-
camp and that sort of thing. That was very
yeah.
confusing to a child. But no, so I met Mike through mutual friends, and I finally found somebody that shared that passion with me. And then again, I don't know if you already touched on it, but it was timing. Like, I was trying
Yep.
to learn how to do graphics and build websites because that was the big thing in the early 2000s, but I wasn't able to get work. And so I told Mike I want to build a website for practice, and he's like, you should do a horror site. Let's do a horror site together where we get to talk to people, because these convention experiences are fun, but it feels a little bit like a gyp when you only talk to somebody for like a minute and then you're off to the next table. We were of the mindset, well, how do we make this last longer? If we interviewed them, they'd have to would have to talk to us a lot longer than 2 minutes. So that was kind of what it was in the beginning. And what's been fun about looking at the book and kind of remembering that time is it was all new. It was all new to us. The internet was not what it is today. Well, even now, I think it's morphed into mostly sharing information via social media. People have collector accounts showing off their horror collection now, as opposed to websites. But back then, it was all brand new. Bloody Disgusting was just starting up. Getting any kind of horror news was like a very, I think Fangoria was just a message board and a magazine at that period.
Right.
So we inadvertently were at the start of something super cool and naive that we were making any kind of dent until a couple of years later.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like you said, fast forward 20 years and you look back, it's like this thing that you guys, just randomly started just for passion, and like the compilation of like 100 of these like interviews is unbelievable. It's,
It's incredible roster, man. The
yeah.
people you guys have
Thank
spoken
you.
to, I mean, it's stacked.
Mm. And
Uh,
kind of dumb luck, really. I mean, there are
Yeah.
people we went after, but again, who would have thought that we talked to Jeffrey Combs because he was promoting Return to House on Haunted Hill. I don't know if anyone remembers
Mm,
that movie, but we at least got to talk to him
yes.
about
Yeah.
everything else. So,
like the landscape for horror, like it's funny, like when I think about it, like was so different, like I ignored so many of these movies, in retrospect when I think about it. I wasn't thinking about it then, but like when Final Destination first came out, when like uh I Know What You Did Last Summer, or like even Demon Night, like I was just like, like I for some reason, like I just, there was like this disconnect. The direct to move video stuff really nailed it with me. I loved it. So like give me Ice Cream Man and all that other stuff. But then as we got into like the late 90s and like early 2000s, it wasn't until French Extreme came back in, like came into play,
Mhm.
and I saw High Tension, and movies like that, where I was like, okay, now I'm gonna pay attention again. So like, what do you remember of the time, like when you guys started, like the first few years, like '04, '05, '06?
With
we'll get,
the French stuff that we were talking about, Rob, you were starting to bring a lot of that French stuff to our attention because you would have the screenings at your house. So you were introducing me and Vinny to High Tension, to AHA,
oh yeah,
to other stuff. Yeah. So that
but that that
period
came that
was
came from Jay Alvino actually. Jay Alvino
okay. That came
was he really had his thumb on the pulse, and he's one of the other contributors to the book. He really had his thumb on the pulse of like foreign horror and like trying to find
mhm.
stuff before anyone else. So I remember him distinctly bringing us High Tension a year before it came out here. He was the one that found out about The Descent when it came out in the UK,
Right.
and we bought an import and watched it here.
Yep.
It was a great time. We joke about it now, but I'll never forget watching Inside and Mike turning to me at the first gory scene and being like, "When did the French become so Italian? Because this is like like a Giallo type of movie all of a sudden with all this blood."
You're right for Inside for
Right.
sure. Yeah, yeah,
And then that started to impact the domestic films because of course gets to do the Hills Have Eyes remake,
yeah.
which is a big turning point for Icons of Fright. That was the
Yeah.
first time we were invited to come to a film festival to see a film early. That
Oh no.
we saw a preview, and that was the first time our name was on a television commercial. If you remember, Rob, that was
That was
brutal
our
and
first one.
unflinching Icons of Fright. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that remake. To be
That was a
honest with
great
you.
oh, that
remake.
was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, like so he went on to do like anytime I see Aha's name on anything, I'm like completely watching it, right?
Hmm.
And fast forward to like movie like Martyrs. I think Martyrs is the greatest horror movie of the last 25 years. You know,
Wow.
yeah, I
Yeah.
remember watching Martyrs, and like by the end, I was so uncomfortable, which is hard to do about anything. And I was just like, I wanted this movie to end, and when it ended, I was like, that was fucking bananas. So to me, Martyrs and Inside hold a very special place. High Tension and like Frontiers and some of they're good. I know everyone's always going to knock Langan. I know you hate that twist of High Tension. To me, like I forgive it just for
The
you know,
thing is, I don't like that twist, and the movie's so good. I
yeah.
still love that movie. Do
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, all right, I don't know. I don't know about that part, but overall, I still would watch that movie anytime. I love it. I can't say I don't like it. I just didn't like that decision. But
Yeah,
that's
it's a cheat. It's a cheat for sure.
Yeah.
yeah,
Another thing that I think you guys covered, I was like reading some of the articles that you sent me. The birth of fucking Shaun of the Dead. Like, how big was that when it fucking
Yeah.
first came out, right? Like, when I remember, so that was that 04 probably.
I think it was
uh,
04 or
Yes.
05, maybe. It was definitely very early when we
It,
started Icons of Fright.
it took a while for it to hit the US.
Yeah.
It had been playing over in UK and making
2004.
noise for a while. Yeah.
2004. Okay, yeah, that makes
By
sense.
the way, it
Yeah.
was not a big deal here. Like we were one of 5
No.
people that went to see it in the movie theater.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
nobody knew that movie existed when it came out.
We met the two guys. We met Simon Pegg and Ed Frost. We met them at a bookstore. They were at a bookstore signing
Yeah,
DVDs. And there was
in,
like
in
a
Manhattan.
small line.
What in
Yeah,
And
20,
Huntington?
20 people.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
really
yeah.
Yeah.
nuts.
But
Because they had only really done what, like Spaced at that
Yeah,
point.
but
Yeah, and
nobody
that
knew
had no
that here.
traction over here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they were.
You had
but
to
I
be a
Well,
diehard like zombie fan to know this thing was coming. And I mean, we
Yeah.
loved it. We definitely advocated for it, but
but I,
it's such a weird thing that all these titles you're mentioning, it was kind of a really golden time. Like I remember the French extremism stuff, and then the DVD. Basically, what we're missing out on is the DVD market and world was so huge that a lot of these movies could make money just because of the DVD market. So all the French movies, maybe they didn't get theatrical releases, but I remember there was Dimension
yeah.
was the DVD label specifically to put out things like Inside and Storm Warning and all these like other weird kind of like
who got that one?
extreme movies. But the thing I love about that era and rereading some of these interviews is just being read. I would say maybe from like 2005 to like 2000, because the DVD market, there's all these like really cool gems, mostly from Anchor Bay. Anchor started out as a video label that was just releasing the classics. They put out Dawn of the Dead, they put out Evil Dead, they put out Phantasm. Then they were starting to acquire and put out original movies. So I'll never forget they were the company that got Hatchet and Behind the Mask.
Right.
Just last night I revisited The Tripper, David Arquette's directorial
Yeah,
debut,
I remember. Yeah,
which is
Ronald Reagan mask,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, yeah.
dude, that movie is
He
a
went from
gem.
bank
I just
robbing to
rewatched it.
slasher.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really cool movie. It's got a great cast, and I mean, I don't think you could find it anywhere. There's like this whole chunk of movies from pretty much the first 10 years of Icons that have kind of slipped into the ether. Like they're not readily available on digital. Tripper, I
Right.
had the DVD
Yeah.
still.
You
No
guys
one's
have
really
So
rushing to re-release them. That's the thing is there's tons of straight to DVD releases that maybe have well if they're on streaming they're available to rent, but no one's like doing 4K retrospect. No one's going to do I guess a 20-year retrospective on the Tripper. But you might see some of those come back up
Maybe
over
they
the next
Vinegar
year.
Syndrome.
Maybe you might see like May,
so
maybe like
Vinegar Syndrome.
May. It's
Oh
yeah, Vinegar
man.
Syndrome, or May was another one that was coming up. Lucky McGee's May was coming up out of the conventions. Rob mentioned Behind the Mask. I'd love to see a retrospective on that come around. That's definitely worth putting eyes on again.
It
Yeah,
took me
there's some boutique labels doing some cool stuff out there. I've just
Sure. Yeah.
started getting into the last year or two, like upgrading and getting some of my classics in 4K, getting into Vinegar Syndrome. And Vinegar Syndrome has
Yeah.
like their partner labels that they have.
Hmm.
The name's escaping me. Mel, it starts with an M. Uh, but they get even more obscure than Vinegar Syndrome. Like they put them to shame. Like some of the titles they have, I'm like, oh my gosh, they get so. So I'm always firing off suggestions because you can suggest things to them. Uh,
Well, yeah, because he had the table at Chiller that I was just talking about, and I'm like
yeah,
going through this shit. I see like Vigilante and like Last Tango in Paris. I'm like, damn. I'm like, what?
yeah,
Yeah.
Are you rating my psyche right now? Like, what the fuck
yeah.
is going on? You know.
How's that Beyond thing that you had bought, Rob? That's the was that from Grindhouse releasing? Did you see that set that he had?
oh, the 4K.
Oh, I
Yeah,
got to get that.
Oh yeah.
that
I mean,
what
you
is
know
it
what's
like
weird?
seven
That's the
discs
other
or
funny
something?
thing is it's something absurd like that. Yeah, Grindhouse Releasing, which is the company founded by Bob Murawski, Oscar winner for The Hurt Locker, but also editor on all of Sam Raimi's movies. He
Oh, wow.
co-created that label with the late Sage Stallone, and
Wow.
mostly to put out Lucio Fulci movies at the Beyond.
Yeah.
So I do love that. I mean, every time the Beyond comes, buy it again. Stupidly, I don't know, like 10 versions of it. But that one it's a great, beautiful 4K.
We
Oh, I
lost.
think we just lost
Oh,
Rob. Oh,
We
that's a
lost
we
Rob.
shame.
did.
Huh? He was
He'll be
getting.
back.
He was getting to some good
He was
stuff.
getting
He's
into it.
had
He's really
enough.
getting into the beyond.
You know. Yeah, the Beyond for sure. But anyway, I wanted to. There he is.
It's back.
There he is.
Are you there, Rob?
Rob just wants everyone to know that he has 7 versions of the Beyond, and he'll keep buying it again and again and again until they stop putting out versions of the Beyond, which will be never. It'll never happen.
Oh my
So
God.
when we have 8K discs, Rob will also collect that version of the Beyond.
Yeah.
I also have I have like 6 versions of it myself.
Do you?
I'm amazed at all these little labels though. You mentioned Vinegar Syndrome. Kino Lorber is another one that's putting out obscure
Yes.
titles. It's not a horror movie, but I just picked up a beautiful special edition of a movie called Big Man on Campus. I don't know if any of you remember this about a
Yeah.
hunchback that lives on
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
in
yeah.
LA.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
I
it's
remember that.
unbelievable. It's what's still happening. So
There's
so
a
this physical media is definitely on its way. It's still happening. It's still there. There's a lot to be explored. So and it's great. I'm grateful that there are labels that are still putting care into these multi-feature editions. And people are still picking them up. So
Yeah. I've
yeah.
been enjoying the process of hunting for the titles, trying to get what I'm looking for. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, do I get the Blu-ray? Because I bet you the 4K will come out on that stuff. But it's
I still don't
enjoyable
have a 4K
hobby.
player. I got to get a 4K player. So
Mi-
I'm grateful they usually include a Blu-ray with the 4K edition. So I've got a
Yes.
couple of those. Yeah,
Mike. You you
yeah.
you you wrote the article on religious horror. Was that you?
That was me. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. Like anytime something comes up with religious horror other than The Omen, like I don't know the disconnect for me. Like I never watch anything with religious horror for some reason. I don't really know
Oh,
what it is.
What about
I
The Omen?
guess
No, I said
The
he
fuck was
likes the
that?
Omen.
aside from the Omen, and
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
I'll go.
Okay.
I like one, but to me, two was my shit. Like
Two's
when
a lot of fun.
two was like I just maybe because I was just like old enough to remember and see like the video and stuff like that. I wanted to be Damien Thorne. Like I wanted to be
Wow.
that yeah, I did.
All right.
I, the two people that I wanted to be, I remember being younger, was him and Superman. So whenever I would go to school, I would like do this like little curl in the front, just put it right there.
Well, there's that great scene in Omen 2 where Damien shows off his history knowledge and rattles off all those facts to his history professor, and who wouldn't want to do that,
I
you
know,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted more the
Uh,
666 to be honest with you, but
oh yeah, just like a little one, just
yeah.
get one there someday, you know?
But
Uh,
yeah,
I
just
guess my religious horror thing, it always connected with me. I guess I grew up Catholic. I was an altar boy,
I went to
much
That'll
Catholic
do
lapsed
it,
school.
man.
Catholic
I
now,
went to Catholic
but
school.
yeah.
That'll do it.
So anything with that sort of Catholic mythos, will do it for me. I love, and anything that sort of touches on that. Like my some of my favorites are like the ever see the Sentinel,
Yeah.
the one about
Oh,
there's sort of a portal to hell that's in the basement of this Brooklyn brownstone, and they've got to
love that
constantly
movie.
get people in there. Oh, it's fantastic. Michael Winner directed that. He's apparently a big jerk, but he used all
Oh, the
these
Death Wish
people
guy?
with deformities. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Actually,
wow.
tying in with conventions and your book,
Didn't
because
know
you have
that.
Chris Sarandon in there, and I think I told the story on here.
Oh, Chris
They had
Sarandon's
a
in it. Yeah.
panel for Fright Night. Um, and I got up. I don't ever ask questions. I asked because I love the Sentinel so much. And I was like, I asked him about the Sentinel, and he's like, I will not speak about that movie or
No.
anything about it. And he just like shut me the fuck down. I just sat down quietly. That was
Never
it.
asked the question again.
Yeah, Michael Winner wasn't known for he immediately like the commentary track with Christina Rains starts off with that she did not have a pleasant experience on that movie. So,
Ooh,
but I mean, it's still a great movie. You got a great cast on it. Ava Gardner's in there.
yeah.
You got of course Chris Sarandon. Jeff Goldblum shows up for like 2 seconds in that thing.
Hmm.
Um, and it's creepy and it's weird and then it's sort of got that little religious horror background to it. And I love
Jeff
I
Goldblum
loved
show.
always loved Rosemary. Yeah, just like for a second he's in there.
eh,
Yeah.
I said Jeff Goldblum shows up in Death Wish 2 as well.
Oh, that's well, yeah. So
Yeah.
there's the Michael
He's the
Winner connection.
rapist.
Yeah, oh yeah,
He's the one person who got along with Michael Winter to do two movies with him. So
yeah.
Wasn't that his first role? The
I
yeah,
like
don't
yeah.
even
rapist number two or
that
something?
yo that movie like the rape scene in Death Wish 2 was very much like brutal. Like I
Yeah.
just remember like I was like this movie. There's certain
It's
movies that like stuck with me that were just kind of like I felt like I was watching something insane. That was one. Maniac, obviously, when Savini gets
Mm,
his head blasted off, and
sure.
Toxic Avenger, that first one when they run the kid's head over. I was
Mm.
just like, wow, I'm like, this is some fucking wild
Texas
shit.
Chainsaw always
I
did that for me too as a child. I'm like, there's something just dirty about this movie.
Oh man, I got to watch that Death Wish scene with Robin Sherwood. It's such a weird story, man. We had this friend, he invited us over to see. He always had this like he always had this ability to collect celebrity guests to his house screenings, and he invited us over to see Tourist Trap, which Robin Sherwood is in as well. And then it became super uncomfortable because before he showed Tourist Trap, he's like, "Oh, do you want to? Can we watch that part of? Can we watch the little? She was in Death Wish 2 as well, and it shows this whole friggin' rape scene, and I'm like sitting next to her, and we're
Wow,
like, I was like,
Oh
okay,
boy.
this is really really
that's
uncomfortable,
me.
and then that's yeah. Oh my God, it was. I won't name names there because we don't want to embarrass anybody, but
Oh
that
man.
was one of the most uncomfortable things I've ever had to sit through in my life. So.
That's fucking hilarious. Wow.
Yeah.
Also the connection. I remember seeing Malevolence. Right? Remember that movie?
Malevolence,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
We kind of felt like we didn't discover it. It was screening theatrically, but we saw like some TV commercials for this thing showing up. And it was maybe in two theaters on Long Island.
Stony
We
Brook.
went
I
to
went
see
to
it.
Stony Brook.
We went to somewhere, I think one of the Sunrise theaters. Like I don't remember. Me and Rob were like the only ones in the theater, and there were like three dopey teenage girls behind us who I guess that was what they could get into to see. And it was cool to see this old school slasher when people weren't quite going back to do that again. And it starts off, it's a bit of a genre twister. It starts off with it starts off as a crime thriller,
Yeah.
and they get to that house, and it was really cool. And then we looked it up, and we found out Stephen Mena's a local guy. Let's reach out to him. Let's see what we could if we could set up something. And it was one of the first times we'd done that. That was the first time we sort of caught wind of a movie early that wasn't going to maybe get get a big nationwide release, and we decided to just sort of like let's go stalk these people. Let's see what we can
Very,
if we can get
yeah.
an interview. Yeah,
I,
he
I,
turned into
yeah, I
hold on.
saw it in
Oh
the Stony Brook Theater, and I guess he was there with maybe the
yeah.
female actress. They were just in, and then me and my friend Paul Travers, who actually he made that movie Old 37 years later with
Just Rob says he's in the waiting room. He wants to come back in to talk about Malevolence.
let's
Geez,
go.
Sam, why don't you let him in?
Let's see if we can get him back in. Hey Rob, you there? You back?
Are you in?
Are you in? Oh
There
wait,
you
oh with video.
Oh,
Rob, we're
hey,
talking about Malevolence, and
Ah,
we're talking about the three teenage girls that were screaming behind us the entire time. Remember
great.
those?
Yes. Great times.
Good times at the good times on Long
Teenage
Island.
angst has paid off well.
Yeah.
There he is.
Sorry about that,
Um,
guys. All
so I
sorts
was
of
just touching
technical
it's
on
all right.
difficulties.
I was just touching on how we saw Malevolence early and reached out to discovered Stephen Mena was local and decided to reach out to him. So
Yeah. No, that was kind of that was just cool because again, it opened up the world to us like, wow, somebody on Long Island like made this horror movie and we want to know how they did it and kept talking and teasing about the prequel and sequel. So we literally like cornered him at a screening and just harassed him like, what happens before this movie? What happens after this movie? We just like, we need to know the trilogy. And by the way, Stephen was incredibly gracious and kind and did multiple interviews with us and and actually, Mike, I just forgot this until now. So he had me and Adam Barnick on the set of Bereavement, which was the prequel, and it's been
right,
retitled
yeah, we had
Malevolence
some
2.
video from that.
One of the first like Icons of Fright original videos we did
Yeah,
was Adam Barnick, who again a contributor in the book, but also a great filmmaker in his own right. He shot a bunch of footage while they were making that movie, and it was surreal for the two. They shot it somewhere in Pennsylvania, so him and I drove up there, and and I believe it's on the DVD or the Blu-ray release of it. It was like a little 10-minute snippet that we put up as a preview on the website, and that kind of indirectly launched Adam's career doing special features because he also had done the ones for Paul Solit's movie Grace. He had done Frozen for Adam Green. So that was one of the other cool things that stemmed from specifically doing Icons of Fright and creating content for us. Something that we never could have imagined that any sort of none of us had industry connections at all. We were all just fans. So anything that came out of it after that, whether it's making these little mini documentaries or Jay got to do a lot of special effects, which he'd fallen out of love of and then got back into it. That was all like a bonus. I mean, Mike's going to be humble, but Mike's an incredible editor and did a lot of fun, quirky videos for us. Mike cut some of the very first promos for Shudder when Shudder was first starting out.
Yeah.
A lot of the commercials and things you saw for Shudder were Mike's doing. So
I love, speaking of Shudder, I'm always going to mention The Core. I love that show with the six
the
episodes.
Mickey
Oh,
Keaton
Yeah, like
yeah.
host, yeah.
6 episodes, like just unbelievable. Like, I mean, it was like late night. It was like horror meets Conan O'Brien, and they were talking about the Halloween masks and all this other shit. So all right, so let's get back to the book. How long did it take to just even put this together?
Almost a year and a half.
Yeah.
Maybe
I mean,
and the idea goes back before that. It's
Yeah.
been bubbling for about 5 years.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what really solidified it was 2024 was the 20th anniversary. Literally, I think we launched in April of 2004 with a teaser page, and then officially started putting content up in May of 2004. So 2024 being like, oh my God, it's been 20 years, and we've talked about the book, and it really all the credit goes to Dustin McNeil at Harker Press, who has already been doing all these incredible horror related books. He did the Taking Shape books about the unmade Halloween movies. He did a bunch of books on Phantasm. And I just kind of half-heartedly said to him, "Oh, it's a 20th anniversary. I really wish we could do a book." And to his credit, he's like, "Done." And I'm like, "What do you mean done?" He's like, "Yes, Icons of Fright." He's like, "I've always loved it. We should do a book." And I'm like, "Okay, great." And so, yeah, we started it about a year and a half ago, hoping it'd come out in 2024. But really, whittling down to 100 interviews, that's one challenge we looked at back at the last 20 years. And then one of the selling points for me was that I found a bunch of these lost interviews that we had done back in like 2008, 2009, Tom Holland, David Scow, Kat Shea. And it's like, cool, that's original material no one's ever seen. And then I started, I honestly, it was the movie Smile 2. I got to see a very early version of that. And I knew the people at Paramount through theatrical exhibition, which is what I was working at the time. And I just kind of was like, hey, how hard would it be for me to talk to the guy that made this movie? And to their credit, they got me on a Zoom call with Parker Finn pretty quickly. And I was like, oh, well, then I guess we got to do a couple of new interviews, right? Round it out. And what's fun about that is if you, the book's designed for you, you can jump around, you can read it chronologically, you can use it however you want. But I do love, because we had to proofread it, it's kind of seamless. Like the last interview from, I don't know, 2012 goes right into Parker Finn, and the style, the way that that we always delve into their earliest horror recollections and how that shaped them as people. And it's kind of exactly, it just kind of was picked up exactly where we left off with some of these newer filmmakers. So yeah, I mean, now that it's done, we're super proud of it. And I think it's really cool. There's something cool about, again, that period starting from around 2004 to the decade after. I feel like, I don't want to say it's forgotten, because it's not, nothing gets forgotten, but Mike brought up a good point. A lot of websites from that period just cease to exist. And then that means that all those articles and reviews and interviews are gone. They're just not,
they're all gone. And you don't, I mean, and that's still happening now where, you know, or somebody buys your website and all your previous material is just zapped. And we just didn't want that to happen to all of our hard work and the hard work of all the other people who had contributed to it. I mean, we had to do, it took a year and a half because part of it was recovering interviews. I mean, the website hasn't really been active the last couple of years. We had to use the Wayback Machine to find some of these old pieces, quite a bit of that. So it was really like digging through lost media in a way and trying to restore the interviews, which Rob had been working on for quite a while before we got to the book. And in restoring that work was important because we don't want it to just vanish into like this like media hole. Also, there's no way for you. It's not no way, but there's very little way of finding small websites and stuff. So these sites, they might still exist, but you're never going to enter them like Google or a search engine. They're just sort of going to exist in this void, and that's other people's hard work that just sort of is now just floating around, and you can't get to it. And we just hated to see that happen. Icons of Fright, especially since so many of the people that we talked to are no longer with us, and some of the people that we spoke to were at the very beginning of their careers. And we were talked to Oz Perkins before, you know, directing something like Longlegs was never a thing. He was an actor.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what a shame it would have been to completely lose all that work and to lose these stories that people were telling us.
Yeah. I mean,
sometimes for the first time, sometimes for the last time.
It's unbelievable. Like I said, it's such a, you know, I guess I'm proud of Rob and everything that you guys did. Honestly, just for doing something like, you know, you made something so worth admiring that it's you know, it's wild, you know. You don't think of it, but you look back 20 years later, you're like, oh shit, we did that. And then you put it into a book.
If one person in 2025 seeks out and watches The Tripper, then it was all worth it, baby.
We were talking about that too, Rob. We're looking through our old articles a couple of weeks ago. We were the horror comedy one, and I was like, Rob, I was reading the old article, and I have this urge now to watch Student Bodies. And Rob's like, you know what? Me too. And so we both put it on. We're you know, on opposite sides of the country, and we're sitting there watching Student Bodies
Paramount.
Together.
It's on Paramount Plus in 4K.
In 4K.
Who would have thought?
Never find that. Yeah.
Well,
Horsehead
That movie's
bookends
I,
in 4K.
I
I,
love that movie.
I remember the weirdest thing I ever saw was, do you guys remember Ryan Nicholson? Right? Like
Yeah. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
So
he passed away a
he
couple years ago,
did,
didn't he?
yeah.
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 He made some vicious movies.
Yep.
So Hanger, the movie Hanger was on Netflix.
Oh my God.
And one day I
Okay.
come home from playing a show, and my ex girlfriend, my girlfriend at the time, she's watching Hanger at like 2 in the morning. I come home with like French toast, and I sit down, and somebody's got a coat hanger, like yanking out a baby from like a vagina,
Oh,
and I was like, "What is this?" She was just like Hanger. I was like, all right. Like it just like I don't know how it made it in there, but every now and then, something slips through the cracks and stuff. But
Yeah, I mean, I mean, he did a movie, I think it was called Live Feed, that I
yeah,
remember
yeah,
was
live feed.
Yeah.
that was in one of our Fango reports. The book is specifically the interviews, but I've been slowly but surely restoring all those original articles and convention reports and all that stuff on my website, which is under my name, but there's subdivisions of Icons of Fright and Shock to Drop and all this other stuff. And it's just been such I mean, again, like Mike mentioned, some of the stuff that Mike was writing in 2006 to me was some of the funniest shit I've ever read then, and it's still the funniest stuff I've read
Well,
now.
thank you,
He
Rob.
again, he did something about Dead Man Walking, which is like he said for some reason in 1989 and 1990, the devil sure got his deal with guys that get electrocuted and come back, and it was like
Right, 3 times
yeah,
he did it.
Shocker, The Horror Show, and The First Power, which I know you're a big fan of,
And
Sam.
I
big
don't even think
fan.
that was all of them. I think there were
There
a
were
couple more
more,
that I didn't. Yeah.
but
Was
then
prison one of them? Did
Prison was
that
a little before that, I think, because
what's the one with
Kane
what's the one
Hodder
with
became
Lyle Alzado? There's one with Lyle
Oh,
Alzado.
the
Oh, there's a
Destroyer.
Destroyer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Wow. Who could forget that one? I mean, that cover was like
Oh, it's insane.
it was kind of like a live version of like no, what is that? The Exterminator. That's kind of
Oh
what
yeah,
that cover
yeah.
looked
Yeah.
like.
Anthony,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anthony Perkins is in that movie, for Christ's
Anthony
sake.
Price. Yeah.
In
Yeah.
Destroyer.
Is he?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Wow.
sure.
Wow.
And Viggo Mortensen's in prison.
Yeah.
That's one of his early
One of
roles.
his first, yeah.
Speaking of Osgood, I think The Monkey is my favorite movie of the year so far.
Oh
Uh,
wow,
Ah,
okay.
but I want to basically ask you your relationship with the genre these days in the last few years, like in the last 5 years, how do you guys feel about newer horror movies?
Hmm. That's the first time I've been asked that in a while. So let's see. I'm always open-minded. I want to see new stuff come out. I've been really excited by the stuff that Oz is putting out. Um, I loved Weapons, which I think is probably my favorite movie of the in the genre this year. And all the stuff that that's come out through like the A24 stuff is intriguing. Some of it's a little slower pace for my tastes, but I like what they're doing. I like there's sort of a throwback feel to it. It looks like they're trying to explore some of the quieter horror from like the 70s and such. They're
Sure,
bringing
I
that
could see
back.
that. I could see
You know?
the vibe
Yeah,
they're going for. Yeah, to
yeah.
me,
I mean, there's some stuff I
A24.
don't buy, but some of it's a little young for my tastes. I guess I'm getting older, but
No, without a
Yeah.
doubt, without a doubt. Oh,
you
I
know,
Talk to Me was one for me, and I remember I mentioned it to Rob, and he's like, "Well, they bought that one, right?" Because I was like,
Oh yeah.
why did I love this movie so much if it was an eight? Because I had this, love hate with A24, and I just remember walking out of Talk to Me and thinking that was a horror movie. Like to me, Talk to
oh,
Me, I'm
Yeah.
like, this is a real horror movie that just kind
have
of
you
like
gotten eyes on Bring Her Back yet? Because
not yet.
that's
Yeah,
oh,
my girl.
Well,
My
It's good.
my
oh,
girlfriend
That
just
was
watched
good.
it. I didn't.
it's intense. I loved it.
Yeah.
It's intense though.
Yeah.
Sam,
Yeah.
to clarify, what Sam was telling me that he likes A24 movies, but the endings always suck. And I'm like, yes, they
uh,
do suck. And he's like, but Talk to Me didn't. I'm like, that's because they didn't make it. They
yeah.
bought it. It was a
Yeah.
completed movie. So
That's
they didn't
true.
have time to fuck up that ending.
This is true. This
Yeah.
is true.
I think it's
Yeah.
so like I think it's a great time for things because we have that elevated stuff, but we also have movies like Terrify. We have like a lot of like it's I most of the best movies I've seen this year were horror movies. I think we're getting a lot of different stuff. I like A24, but I do think they've fallen into like they're in a they have a look and a feel, and they're very aware of that, and it kind of becomes its own formula. And I'm like, okay, I've kind of seen this already, so but still capable with that some good stuff.
Something like Terrifier though is something altogether not the anti A24.
Mm.
And this it's really super important, I think, honestly. I think they kind of broke the mold there. They certainly broke the rating system mold with that movie, which is really good for the genre, I think. I not it did I again I didn't really vibe with it. It's a little over the top. I think a little bit much for me, I guess, as an old fart now. But I love what they did. I love that they got that thing into like what 1,500 2,000 theaters unrated, and they
Yeah.
got people showing up for it. That's we wouldn't have had that back in our day. I mean, even in the 2000s when we were doing Icons of Fright, you weren't going to get unrated independent horror movies into 2000 screens. It just was the landscape was impossible. You couldn't get past the ratings board. You get an NC-17, it was, it's still the death curse for your
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
So to
Yeah.
have something like this happen, and I guess it's a little combination of, the theatrical landscape post COVID and theaters are desperate for content, but that's I think that's probably I mean, even if you don't like it, it's certainly maybe the most important genre film of the last
Yeah,
decade
I
in
listen
many
to
it's
ways.
just good for cinema. It's good for
Yeah,
the.
it's
It
really
gets
good.
people in the theater. I mean, I just
It's
pooped
good
on the
for
floor and saw
everyone.
my dad.
Yeah.
It's right.
Nobody,
I'm like seeing
everybody
the
wins when you
universals.
have that.
Yes,
I
Everybody wins off
exactly.
that.
Yo, I
Yeah.
watched the first Terrifier, and I know Rob's connection to the movie, obviously. I remember watching the first Terrifier. It, I was sick in bed, and I remember watching it, and obviously we get to like some of the parts, and I was just like, this, like I felt like I needed to stop the movie and tell everyone about it. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is like fucking like this movie's so fucking good. And then I went and I was on Facebook and I see the page had like a few hundred likes and I hit Damien up. I was like, hey, do you want to do our podcast? And he was like, sure. He's like, I'll drive out from Staten Island. And we talked to him. He ended up just doing it on Skype. And yeah, like it was so long ago that he was just like, yeah, I'll talk to you because no one else cares about this movie.
Right.
But we fucking loved it.
Well,
So
I mean, as you know, I distributed that first Terrifier movie
yeah,
before
you're the plug.
anyone knew, and I told you back then that I respect everything about it, but it's not for me either. I'm amazed that it did what it did, but I will tell you, we tried to get Damien for the book as one of the new interviews, but he's busy.
He's
So
busy.
because
Yeah.
because what the feeling you just described, you telling everybody about it, that is 100% the early Icons vibe. Like when we saw
Yep.
Malevolence and we saw this, when we saw High Tension, we had to tell everybody about it.
Yeah.
So to Mike's credit, he was like, yeah, we should try to talk to him because he would, if Icons was around today, we would go after the guy that made Terrifier.
Yep.
And I will tell you, when I started I was booking theaters for a while, and I think it was my first month. I started when Terrifier 2 was in theaters, and I couldn't believe, looking at the numbers, that it was great. And by the way, and they only could show it twice a night, like 2 show times a night. They weren't even giving it a full run of show times, especially because of the length and all that. It was absolutely crushing Halloween Ends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there was not even a comparison.
I'm an
Terrifier
apologist.
2 was like number one at every one of the theaters I booked for that October. And I just thought, like, you know what? Respect. Good for them. Good for
Yeah.
Yep.
them.
Yeah.
You
I,
know?
I'm still waving the Halloween end flag over here.
Somebody's gotta.
So hey, I mean, how many Halloween movies had Sebadoh in the soundtrack? Not many.
Fair.
Uh, but yeah, just wrapping up real quick here. I just wanted to like talk about certain things. I mean, you guys just there's so much to cover, but I think one of the first looks you were talking about first looks, Severance. You got a first look at Severance,
Oh my God, yeah.
and
Oh wow. Yeah.
Christopher Smith. To me,
Oh,
I think so. Triangle is
Yeah.
one of to me. If you ask me, along with Inside and Martyrs, I think Triangle is one of the greatest movies of the last 25 years and stuff. So,
Yeah. He's
uh,
so underrated, that guy. And you know what? Again, credit to
completely.
Jason Alvino. He found his first film, Creep.
yeah,
And
Creep is
and
great.
and he showed it to us, and we're like, this is great. Like, it's scary, and it's like it's got the whole underground vibe thing, and like a sort of creature man. Which, by the
Mhm.
way, there's a company. Shit, I hope I don't mess this up. I think it's Umbrella, which is a company out of that does fancy Blu-rays and 4Ks out of Australia. They've done all of the Chris Smith movies, so I bought them in fancy editions. Creep, Triangle, Severance, and I think they just did. Is it called Black Death? The fourth one,
Death. Yeah. Black Death.
Black Death. Yeah, I mean, I think he's such a vastly underrated filmmaker, and I just rewatched Creep, and the you'll have to look it up. Like, he's like a famous actor. The guy that plays the creep, he's like the villain in all the modern Mission Impossible movies now.
Oh wow.
But back in Chris Smith's first movie, he's in makeup playing like a mutant in the underground.
Yeah.
And I was blown away that guy is now like a major Hollywood, villain in Mission Impossible movies. That's the other trip about rewatching some of these movies from that era, is then now recognizing some of these faces and seeing how some of these careers are kind of, ebbed and flowed, or where they are now. It's incredible.
Fantastic.
So.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring them up because I once again, like I said, there, I always try to think of like my definitive like top 10 of the last 25, especially now that we're 25 and stuff. So,
Oh God.
Triangle,
Yeah.
Triangle to me is just so fucking slept on and dark and fucking fantastic. So, yeah, I guess, before we end,
Right, Triangle. You know what it is about that one? My vague memory is it got eclipsed a lot by Time Crimes, which is also a great
Yes.
movie.
Also
Yeah.
But
phenomenal.
because they're both very similar about
Similar.
doppelgangers and time vortex and stuff like that, because Time Crimes is like one of those big, like, Fantastic Fest, like, celebrated movies, and Triangle is just this guy named Chris Smith that keeps making these movies in the UK. And I think he's such an underrated filmmaker. We never got to talk to him, I don't think.
Yes, we did.
But
I did.
we?
I talked to him.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I don't remember
Yeah.
that, but he was
I
great.
talked to him for the
great
Black Death.
filmmaker. Oh, okay. Great. Awesome.
who was in Black Death? I think that was like a period piece movie. Was
Sean
it?
Bean,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Sean Bean.
Yeah, Sean
Sean
Bean.
Bean.
Yeah.
Sean Bean. Yeah.
Kill.
Yeah.
I mean, love that dude. Like in Possessor.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
He's in the new Daniel Day-Lewis film, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Sean Bean. Yeah.
yeah. He's to me, he's like, oh, that guy.
Yeah.
It's that guy. But I love, Possessor once again, and all the Cronenberg stuff. Well, the son.
So is the
Yeah.
book out? People can get it now? Like where?
Yes, absolutely. You can get it on Amazon.
We'll put the link up.
It's available at paperback, hardcover, Kindle, and you can and hopefully we'll be hitting some bookstores. We just saw that we've hit the public libraries, which is a point of pride for all of us.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. But yeah, available on Amazon right now. Yeah.
It's
So,
it's
yeah.
a great book and it's a great layout. And like you said, Rob, you can jump around and stuff like that. I do like that, and especially been really busy lately and stuff like that. To have a book, I could jump in, repick an article, just
Yeah.
pick one interview, jump around. It's great. It's stacked.
And you can take it to conventions and get them to sign their
Ooh.
Hey, there's a
interviews.
good idea.
There
Hey,
you go, man.
I'm just putting that out there. Might be good for that.
That's a good idea.
I'm going on the 26th. I don't know who's going to be there, but
I'm thinking about going too. It looks pretty
And
good.
take
I
your
think.
copy of Icons of Fright.
Yeah. All right. So before we go, just I really wanted to ask, I was talking about the 25 years. So maybe give me like 5 movies each that you
Oh,
feel
boy.
from 2000 to 2025 that you feel like people should check out that they might have missed or
Oh my God.
Oh,
Rob,
I don't like
you-
being put
you-
on the spot with movies.
no,
Make
it up.
Go on, Rob. We'll make them up.
I'm looking for the book so I can skim sometimes. Well, I 100% think, all right, so post 2000,
Yeah.
then, well, definitely Talk to Me. Talk to Me, in my humble opinion, is easily the best of the decade. I really also love, I guess I'll give a little love to Ty West. In particular, House of the Devil, I still think holds up really, really well. The Signal, which kind of got
Signal, yeah.
forgotten.
Oh,
yeah.
Not
You
The
were the first person.
Forgot
2007
about
one,
it till
baby.
right now.
You were the first person to tell me about it. I remember. You told me about The Signal. You told me about Trick or Treat as well. That was
Yes.
yeah.
Trick or Treat is definitely one of the best, probably in the my number one for horror in the last 20 years for sure.
They're doing some screenings, so I got to catch that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what is that? Three? At least three or four.
Oh,
At
I got to
least
grab my
that's
copy.
all right.
When did The Descent come out? Is that post
2000.
2000?
Yeah,
That was
2005.
Yeah, 100% in the top
Yeah.
10. In the top 10 for sure. And that's all I could think of at the top of my head. I mean, in terms of ones that, if I may, ones that tie into the book that kind of are a little forgotten now. I kind of like James Wan's second movie, even though I know he doesn't. Dead Silence is kind of fun.
Wow.
I
Can I?
like
Can
the
I-
collector movies.
Me too.
The collector is we have interviews with Marcus and Patrick in the book, and they did both of those. They shot 15 minutes of the collector 3 and have been unable to finish it, which is insane to
Really?
me. Yeah.
Yo, can
What
I just
else?
can I let me stop you for a second while you look. I gotta say, I remember watching Dead Silence after watching Saw, and I was so fucking bummed out. I mean, listen, shout out to James. He's a monster, but I mean, I don't know. I did not connect with Dead Silence
It
whatsoever.
doesn't, look, it doesn't hold up. I rewatched it not that long ago,
Yeah.
but I really
Uh,
was excited about it in the moment.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. So,
um,
All right.
what
yeah,
else?
I think you gave us
I'll
a bunch.
I'll I'll give you a couple. So I'll give you maybe the gentleman who wrote the forward to our book, Neil Marshall. Um, I think people should go back and watch his follow-up to The Descent, Doomsday,
Oh,
which is this
Loved it.
phenomenally,
Yeah.
I
absolutely
love
bonkers
Doomsday.
post-apocalyptic movie. I know it came out, and it just sort of died unfairly, and I think you're in for a treat. You may have never heard of this movie because it just came and went so fast, but
It's
it's
really good.
phenomenal.
Yeah, it's killer.
I also think and it's something, this is a movie that came it was a straight to DVD movie at the time, but just go watch Dave Parker's The Hills Run Red. Go find that movie.
Yeah,
I know it just got a
100%.
special edition, that what a great little like meta horror movie. But you're gonna love it. Dave Parker did The Dead Hate the Living. He's unfortunately attached the movie Bold House of the Dead movie. Let's not talk about that.
Oh,
But
Yui
no,
Bowl.
Dave's an
He's
big underrated talent.
he's humorous about it in the book though, which I
Yeah,
think is,
yeah. He's
because
not
Yeah.
we were like,
in
nobody
real
knew
life, maybe.
this Ooh Bowl guy,
Yo,
but
the guitar. Our guitarist Frank, he does a sound for like movies, and he does a lot of Yui Bowl movies right now.
oh wow,
Okay.
oh my
Yeah.
god.
It's a living.
I did, yes, I live it. I do like Rampage though. I give him that one.
Oh, I haven't seen Rampage. We were big boosters of Postal when it came out.
Oh,
I
that's
believe
what I was
we're
just
quoted
thinking.
on
Yeah.
the DVD. So that was a big dopey one. Those are my two. I'm trying to think of another one, but I can't. I hate being put on the spot. I know too many movies, and it's tough to pull them out. But
All
those
right,
would be my two picks from
I
the
that's a
like
book.
good one.
thinking about these films though too, because like
You know what? I just want.
they
I did that article on electrocuted serial killers. I immediately went and watched the horror show with
Yeah, he was
Byron
texting
James.
me.
So there,
I just
go
watched
ahead,
that the
watch
other
that
night.
one too.
I
Yeah.
love Brian. Listen, Brian James. Yeah, R.I.P. He's just like, uh, love him. I love him in
He's
another
great.
48 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
The Iceman.
Yeah.
The
He
Iceman.
was, yeah.
Spoiler alert. I want to throw in. I feel like Eden Lake gets overlooked.
Oh, it's great. Yeah,
Eden
Yeah, that's a
Lake's
good
so
one.
Eden
Yeah.
Lake is
that's
just
that's
so,
rough. That's
I
a tough
know.
one.
That's what I love.
Yeah,
I love
you like the
movies.
brutal stuff. Yeah.
I do. I like
He's a
things.
savage. He's a Neanderthal.
I am a Neanderthal, that's for sure. But I like things, to me it's like the evil that men do is like the final frontier, right? We
Yeah.
can we could watch all these other things but when it comes down to like brutality and like what humans do to each other, so Eden Lake, Red, White, and Blue is another one.
Oh,
I shout
wow.
that movie out to so many
Well,
people because it's so like we know like it's in that Requiem for a Dream that's like, wow, this was amazing. And like then when I'm always like, I gotta watch that movie again, I'm like, I gotta kind of get myself ready. Like, do I want to sit through this again? Like,
Yeah.
Well, Sam, if you like the extreme stuff, and I know we touched on maybe religious horror wasn't your thing, but you should try When Evil Lurks if you haven't.
One of the best movies ever.
that's an awesome
Oh,
movie.
all
Yeah,
right, good.
excellent.
You've seen it.
To
Phenomenal.
me,
Yeah,
yeah,
that put that on my list. That was outstanding.
one of the things to me is like when you're able to basically, throw kids under the bus, like
Yeah.
I know all bets are off, so I appreciate that. I remember what was that Bobcat Goldthwait movie, God Bless America.
Yes.
Like within the
Yes.
first 2 seconds, they throw a baby up in the air, shotgun, and I'm like, all right, I'm in for this. But yeah, so Eden Lake, Red, White, and Blue, Martyrs, The Substance blew me away last year.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the best. Like man, Coralie, like Revenge was great
Oh.
too, but holy shit, The Substance was just like fucking
stuff. Podcast.
unbelievable. So, all right, those are my couple. Langan, I don't know if you want to throw to close it out a couple of underdogs of the last
Well,
25.
you always see it in a lot of lists for like underrated horror films, but I always do. I love Lake Mungo. I love the atmosphere of
Beautiful,
that film. Sleep Tight was another one that
Oh yeah.
that I
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
It was
love.
one of the directors of Wreck, which I should say is one. It's probably my favorite found footage movie. Is the original Wreck.
Oh yeah, that was a great trilogy. I mean, like that. The first was always my favorite and stuff like that. But
There's
that
four of
guy's
them.
done.
It's
Is there
4.
four? I didn't
Yeah.
even know there was
Yeah.
a fourth. How
Yeah.
is it? Is he still doing them though?
So
Or is
so
it-
it was two guys. They both did the first two together, and then one directed 3 and the other directed 4.
Okay, so it's sort of still in the family.
Yeah.
But like
It's like Zombie 4. You're like, I didn't know this was even a thing.
Pulse, another good one from 2001. I'm just thinking of stuff because what I was saying before was I've watched those 80s and 90s and those icons. I know them like the back of my hand. Like I don't even have to watch them. I can recite them in my head. But then for some reason, I don't revisit a lot of stuff from the early 2000s or something I really liked. I'm like, I haven't rewatched that again and stuff. So revisiting, and researching for this and Sam, you were just doing a poll on the
Best movies of
2000s and
2000,
stuff
yeah.
like that and stuff like that. I'm like, man, there's a lot of the films from the early 2000s that I need to watch more, just like I watched those other 80s, 90s films so much.
Yeah.
You good over there?
But yeah. I didn't have the list here and stuff like that, but I would agree with The Substance. That blew me away. One of the funnest times I've had at the theater, when that ending, that batshit ending and stuff, and a couple of people like just they couldn't even sit through it. I'm like, oh, this
Yo,
is what I'm talking about. This
when
is the
yeah.
theater experience that I want.
When people say someone walked out, I never experienced it until The Substance. I saw
Oh, wow.
two people just fucking
Wow.
leave, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "You just
Yeah.
left like during like this like crescendo," and they were like,
Yeah,
"Nah."
yeah.
They're like, "We're fucking good." So I wish I would have left during the Witch. That's
Yeah.
what I would've done.
When we were talking religious horror, I was gonna bring that. I'm like, oh, it's because that falls in there, right?
Worst movie
Oh.
of all time.
Wow.
Hey,
Not
listen,
not an Eggers
I-
fan.
Oh, I like it. I liked it.
another.
I couldn't get into his follow-ups though. I couldn't finish The Lighthouse. I thought I would, but
I think
I
you know what it
didn't
is?
care for that either. But a hell of a cinematographer. You can't take that away.
gorgeous.
I think
Yeah.
I'm just
What did
too-
you guys think of Nosferatu?
Oh, it was fine.
Say
It
that.
isn't the best. Yeah, well,
I think I'm
Yeah,
just too dumb
yeah.
for those movies. That's the problem.
Yeah.
All right, yo, listen, Icons of Fright.
Yeah.
Yo, thank you guys for coming on and
Thanks for
giving
having
us
us.
a bunch of stuff. So
Cop that
You
book,
know.
people.
yeah, we'll
It's
put
good
the links
stuff.
up. I'll tell everyone about it. Are you gonna do an audiobook by any chance, or
I don't think so. I mean, somebody asked that.
Yeah.
I don't know how we would.
Yeah,
Like
I don't
somebody
know how it would
reading
translate.
interviews.
Yeah.
AI?
Don't get Sam. He
Oh,
won't
no.
read it.
Well, what we can do, and it'll be a while. Right
Can you
now,
read it to me?
No, well, maybe if you want, if you ask nicely, Sam.
That's
No,
the
I
VIP
do-
package at a convention. They read you the book.
That's a Patreon.
No, what I will say is that we were in putting the book together, I was digging out a lot of materials, and that includes a lot of my original audio cassettes. And so I think at some point maybe we will share snippets of like when we talking to Rob Zombie and like actual
Yeah.
audio from the book. I think as little snippets we'll put on our social media. Um, that's as far as we can go just in
That's
terms of
great.
reading.
And
Nice.
honestly, like the link that you sent me, like there's so much stuff on there that I've been enjoying, like all like the articles from the site and stuff. There's so much stuff on there through the years. So I'll post
Yeah.
that link too, so everyone could enjoy that. And yo, guys, thanks for hanging. Rob, you
Yeah.
know you
Thank
could
you
always
guys.
come and hang out with us whenever you want.
Yeah,
So
and I'll
might
be
miss
in
you.
time next time.
That's cool.
Uh,
Sorry about that.
All right,
all good.
come to Long Island. We'll play a show.
Yes.
All right, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Later.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Later.